customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DiJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you.
Welcome back, revolutionaries. On today's episode, I am speaking with Scott Grates. Scott has mastered the art of leveraging relationships to amplify business success. His approach centers around the belief that in a world rushing towards digital impersonality, the true edge lies in personal connections, consistent, thoughtful engagement. He's the author of Referrals Done Right. It's about his expertise in nurturing relationships that foster business growth. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks, John. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too. So one of my books and you know, everything I talk about comes back to me. You'll figure that out real quick.
It's your show, man.
Right. One of my books is called The Relationship Economy. So, yeah. I mean, you're living in my sweet spot. I love it. So let's talk about the concept of relationship marketing and how it is so crucial today in the digital revolution.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny. So the book's Referrals Done Right, but referrals kind of gets a bad rap. People think referrals and they think this cringy, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type relationship. And the reality is the book probably should be named Relationships Done Right. But if I named it that, it would end up in a different section of the bookstore. And so, but it all does start with the relationship. So when I saw customer service revolution and all the things that you're doing with this connection economy and fostering relationships, I kind of got giddy. And then I thought to myself, this 10-year-old me, I went back to, and I'm like, dude, what happened to you? Like, this is your life. Like, whoever thought as a 10-year-old, I grew up to be this referral business relationship person, like getting excited to nerd out on this stuff. But, it is great timing because as everyone falls victim to this digitally dominated world and algorithms and everyone trying to do more with less, I truly believe the people that do what we do the eyeball to eyeball stuff and have those meaningful, deeper conversations and build the relationships by giving first, right? Really delivering on what you talk about, customer service, value, being unique, creating that wow, memorable experience. Those are the people that are going to win in the future because everything else just becomes clutter. So I'm all in on the relationships and how we can leverage the right relationships, get very specific and intentional with the people that we're diving into relationships with, so that the people we want to talk to, they will lead us to, and that's really the whole Referrals Done Right system.
Well, a couple 100% agree, love it. You're speaking to the choir, but some drawbacks there that I'm always thinking, what's the naysayer saying is, well, it's harder, it's slower. It's harder to do at mass, and no fault to their own, the 30 and under generation a relationship disadvantage, right? And so they don't have the inherent people skills that you and I, hopefully I'm not insulting you by lumping you in my age range, but we were forced to have. I mean, these kids, and again, I'm not ripping on I hate people that rip on that generation, but these kids, didn't even, some of them didn't even get to go to school, literally. And now they're working from home right out of college, where you and I, we fostered our people in our wedding we met in college and right after college at happy hour after work. And these people are dating online and, have never been, in front or in a workplace to make those meaningful connections. So how do we help them?
Yeah, great question. And it, what I go back to is we're a speck of dust in the big scheme of things. Humans have been around for billions of years. And when you peel us down to our core, we we seek relationships. We need to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be made to feel special. We want comfort and security. And where do you get that? You get that from, you're not going to get that from your cell phone or from a computer. And so, yes, we paint with this wide brush, all these kids now, and I've got 3 kids just like you do, and they're in front of their phones just as much as we are now as adults. And but ultimately, when you need somebody, right, some scary, dark, confusing moments, you can't get that from a phone. And so I do believe, especially with this next generation, you and I, if we're going to lump ourselves together, we were driven by money and business success. And it was all about the 6-figure income for me when I got out of college. How fast could I get there? And now, these kids, they want, meaning and memories. Yeah. And again, to be seen and heard and feel like their work is valued. And it's a little different route that they're taking to get there. But I think ultimately, when they're our age, it may be even sooner, like they'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm not writing
listen,
them.
I have, over 100, of the dreaded Gen Zs and millennial employees in my businesses. And I say that tongue in cheek. They're awesome once they're given and trained on those people skills. They're rock stars. I think they're better than the previous generations. It's just no one is taking the time. It's not taught in school. It's not taught at home. So something like this is just so, so important. I mean, unfortunately, I like to say today's illiterate are those who have an inability to make a meaningful connection with others. So you said something in your opening of like, a gift first mentality. Tell me what that looks like.
Yeah, really the conversation with anyone I'm stuck with, any relationship, it's a wild fact. I'm not a science guy, but it's a fact that if I ask you a dozen questions and just let you talk about yourself, and you already alluded to it, right? That you love to talk about. We all do, right? If we're being honest.
Yeah. My favorite subject, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the one I know the least about, right? So, if I just let you talk and ask questions and figure out what your goals are, what your passion is, what struggles and obstacles you're having, 30-minute conversation, 25 minutes, John's talking. And at the end of it, he's like, I really like him. I like Scott.
Yeah.
Right. And I
if
didn't say
someone
anything.
asked me, tell me about Scott, I couldn't say one thing, right?
Right. But you like me.
Right.
So that's where it starts, this give first mentality. Everyone's BS meters are higher than ever nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? So in the business world, I primarily do insurance. And so when I go to a realtor, a mortgage broker, a car dealer, an attorney, they're like, this dude wants something. Right. So I make it my mission to put their guard down and ask for nothing. I never ask for anything when I'm first
Just
communicating.
become a resource broker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just ask those questions about them and I listen and take detailed notes because I can't trust my memory. And then that allows me to strategically schedule the next time I'm going to randomly, in air quotes, pop up in their world. And I'm going to show up at a unique time in a meaningful way. And we're going to keep this relationship going just through top of mind awareness. And what happens is over time, and again, you hit it right on the head, right? Every objection, this, right, that I get from people is, well, it takes forever. Yeah, I tried, it doesn't work. It's hard, right? It is. But if you're playing the long game, right, all of these seeds that you plant now you'll be able to harvest down the road. So, ultimately, the one word battle the one word problem that I try to solve for my people is inconsistency, right? We all know what to do. And frankly, most of us know how to do it in our own way. We just don't do it long enough, right? We don't show up with consistency. And any relationship, if you go on your first date and you get to dinner and you propose marriage before the entree, it's just weird, right? It's not going to work. And if it does, it's probably not going to last.
Well, that would have been helpful 30 years ago, if you would have told me that.
But we do this in the business world where I meet you for the first time and now I'm asking you for something.
Right.
I haven't earned that right.
Right.
And so you've got to be playing the long game with this thing and just keep showing up so you become top of mind. And suddenly the more you pour into people, the law of reciprocity kicks in. And when someone thinks about the products and services that John offers, I'm talking to someone in my network and I'm like, you got to talk to John.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great guy. And you never had to ask me for anything. I know what you do. And I know that you keep showing up for me without asking for anything. And I want to help you now.
So, something you talk about that is I call, there's a gift in every conversation, right? If you're paying attention. And, I used to say it back in the day with my consultants and whoever I was talking to, if you can get into someone's office, right? You get the CEO's office, you can own them, right? And now it's the same in Zoom, right? Because I'm in your office right now, and man, I'm seeing, yeah, you are a proud dad. There's pictures of you and your kids. You like basketball. I can see what you're a fan of, what books you read. Like that's awesome. So you could start, and now you could follow up. And if Scott, my potential client, existing client or whatever is, I find out that I'll follow back up with you next week, and you're like, no, not next week. Me and my wife are going to for our anniversary, right? Well, I can, and you've never been there, I can send you the 3 best restaurants in that city. If you are an existing client, maybe there's something in your room when you arrive, wine or whatever. So what are things that you do to specifically to get your foot in the door that they want to use you first, and then secondly down the road, because I know I don't think, maybe you're the expert here, I don't think I should be asking for a referral yet until I've demonstrated that I know what I'm doing, I'm good at it, and I care about you, not just how much money I can get from you.
100%. And I've been in sales almost 30 years, and I say that I've never sold anything. And if I say that during a job interview, I won't get the job, but
Right.
it's the truth, right? I mean, I educate, I ask questions, I meet product and services to the needs of the person once we identify those needs. And if they take it, great. If they don't, so what, right? It's a not now, and we'll keep following up. Is that sales? Yeah, that's sales. But yeah, I don't sell anything, and I don't ask for referrals. But my agencies, we receive over 1,000 referrals every year. We have for 10 straight years. And it's without having to ask for it, because people know what we do and the value we can bring. So to answer your question, you've got to become a detective, and you're spot on, right? The only mission I have during a first meeting with someone is to learn as much as I can about them, so I can take detailed notes and then show up in a meaningful, thoughtful way. And if you mention that anniversary trip with your wife, like now in my CRM, and we've got a CRM for prospective clients, and then we've got a CRM for our centers of influence, right? Our referral partners.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you in that CRM, and I'm going to say, at time of recording, this is December 6th. So I'm going to say John's anniversary is December 7th. And in mid-November, I'm going to come up with a thoughtful gift, something I know you like based on what I've found from your
Right.
office, and I'm going to send it to you next year, right? Before your anniversary. And I'm going to be,
And you're reminding me that it's my anniversary and getting me out of hot water, right?
that's awesome. But some tactical things that we do initially, and probably the easiest way to start. Everyone has a social media account. And the way I started this is the company I represent. We have a guy named Jake that everyone knows, right, in the insurance world. And so I've got this 6-foot cardboard cutout Jake, and I say, John, what we do every Wednesday is we take a picture of Jake at a different local business, and I do a little newspaper style article, and really just allow you to talk about whatever you want, boast, brag, promote whatever's going on with your business. I want to shine a spotlight on you, your employees, your business, what you're doing in the community, and I want to share that with my audience. I'll tag you in it, and you're like, great. Everyone says yes to that, right? Free promotion. And that's what we do. We don't ask for anything. There's no catch per se, but as you know, right, we're going to cross pollinate audiences.
Right.
And, so we get to meet, we get to have this conversation where I'm literally interviewing you. I'm finding out all the stuff about you and your business. And then I write the article, I post it, and, a week later, and now I'm reconnecting a week later when that hits. And then I'm going to send a thank you card. Then we're going to, we've connected on social. So now we start this cycle of continuous follow-up. So the easiest way to start, in business is have a newsletter, have a blog, have your social media page, right? And just shine a spotlight on the people that you want relationships with, and start there. And that's evolved now. Here we are in a podcast, you and I meeting for the first time. Now we do a podcast, my wife and I. and I'm in the 315 area code. So we call it Love Living Local 315. And it's a national podcast that is hyper focused on our local community. And we shine a spotlight on amazing people doing amazing things here in our community. But what I'm really, which we are, no ads, no, no, but what I'm really doing is I'm featuring the people that I'm either already doing business with or want to do business with, potential referral partners. And so in return, I get the relationship, right? I get the opportunity to follow up, and again, I'm interviewing you, I'm having a conversation with you. So I think that's the
And
easiest
they're
way.
sharing and on their social media, because that's huge. I mean, for them, that's like being on the Tonight Show, right? Of like, look, he's bragging about my hair salons, and interviewed me, and it's bringing a spotlight to it.
Yeah, no doubt. And even you, right? At the level you're at, why would you take 30, 45 minutes of your time to guest on a podcast and not promote it all over your social? Like,
Right.
that's why you're doing it, right?
Right.
And so everyone wants to promote themselves. And so if you give someone a platform, to do that, especially in front of a market they want to be in front of, it's the greatest gift we can give.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. In your book, Referrals Done Right, what else, are you teaching, business owners, entrepreneurs, my first business is, what's grown today is to a chain of hair salons in Northeast Ohio. So it's very, and we did that back in 93 when we opened. We didn't have, we had the three no's: no money, no customers, no employees, and like any business, if you had a lousy arm, you could throw a rock in any direction and hit, a dozen competitors. We
Sure.
couldn't outspend, outmarket, outbuild. So we just, try to create an exceptional customer experience. And then, we started having referral contests. At first, it was, the person referred the most in the calendar year would, get a day of pampering. But then it eventually, got to be a cruise for two, a Lexus convertible. And we didn't have to pay for these because the local travel agent, right? They wanted to be in front of my high end, you know, uh, you know, mostly 90% women, right? Who, if they could, spend $5,000, $10,000 at a salon in a year, they could do damage at your car dealership or your travel agency back when there was travel agencies. So, we had people literally fighting to win these contests. So it was a really good, opportunity. I don't even know what we do now. I'm not involved in the day to day, but I always say, you want to, referrals. Number one, give an outstanding experience of more value than they're paying, even if you're high end. And then the second thing is, ask, which that always seems to be the toughest part of teaching. I get that ask, how do you ask? When do you ask? I know, there's a mortgage company I work with that really, wanted to give, increase their referrals. And so what they did, as you know, a mortgage company, that could be a 35-day process, right? Today, I'm seeing you call up. I see if I can get you qualified. Then we go to this, and we go to this, and then finally, maybe February 1st, the loan closes and you get your keys. So what they did was they broke down on the third call, on the 10th call, the 15th call, and the final call, ask for a referral. And I was okay with that, except for, these are kids who are the account mortgage lenders, right? Account executives. They weren't reading the audience. And what I mean by that is, on the third call we're having, and you're the customer, and you could be yelling at me because I haven't gotten back to you in a week. And I'm like, yeah, real sorry about that, Mr. Grates. Hey, do you know anyone that would benefit? And so it's, and then on the flip side, it might be on the fifth call, which, it's not necessarily is the day I'm supposed to bring it up, but you might be saying, young John, account executive, I gotta tell you, you are fantastic. I mean, man, you are on Johnny on the spot. You are always returning. And that you sent me that I'm moving from New York to Cleveland, and my son's a basketball, and you sent me great AAU travel teams in Cleveland for him. That was so impressive. Well, that's the time to say, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Grates. Is there, do you know anybody that would benefit?"
Need help getting brilliant at the basics? Contact Claudia at thedijuliusgroup.com and find out how the team of consultants at the DiJulius Group can help you get there.
So, how do you build that in to where, because people are scared, to broach that subject sometimes.
Yeah, probably the most tactical, direct route that we take is we do a 100% customer onboarding, new customer onboarding process. And this is different for every business. But again, I'm in the insurance business. So when someone moves their business to me, this is what I refer to as the honeymoon phase, right? We haven't messed anything up. We haven't raised the rate. We haven't, dropped the ball on a claim. We haven't messed up their billing.
Right.
Like, they trust in us. They moving everything over. And so, what we give a customer survey, right on the spot. And my team is instructed to explain to our new customer that, John, the way I'm graded, evaluated, and frankly compensated here at the agency is based on how well I score based on your customer experience. And so it'd mean the world to me if you just take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to complete this survey. I'm going to go get your paperwork and what you need to sign and whatever. And we leave the room. And it's a simple 5-6 question survey that we're pretty confident, because we know all the questions on there, that we've delivered on a high level at every one of those. And so we get, all the 5 stars. And then the last question is, the second to last question is, rate us on a scale of 1 to wow. And our goal is to wow everyone through that customer experience, right? And so then the next question is, John, do you feel I've earned the right to be introduced to one person you know? And it's just a yes, no that they circle. And if they circle yes, we just ask them for one name, right? One name. So that's our direct ask approach. The other thing we do, and again, different.
So let me just double check. I've just transferred out all my or whatever insurances to you. It's kind of the onboarding.
Yep.
Okay. So that's initially, but now it's 3 months in, 3 years in. How do you remind me that you are so dependent on, referrals?
So we use what we call the customer cloning process, right? Now, we don't want to clone all of our customers. You know this, right? We don't want everybody. But I like John. John's a great insurance customer, right? Never has claims, always pays his bills, doesn't torture us all the time. Everything is good with John. And so I finally get the opportunity to have a conversation with John. He calls about a bill or whatever. And I say, John, we're trying to build this agency around great people just like you. And what we found is usually great people like you hang out with other pretty awesome people. It'd mean the world to me, right? We're trying to build this thing one person at a time. If you can introduce me to maybe one person that you know. Right. And that's it. Let's do the one person. And we don't lead with we have a referral program. Now we're bound by the government. We can only do so much. We can't give away cars, right? We can limit on what we can do. But we don't lead with that. Once we do get a name, then we circle back around with, you know what, John, we're a small local business and we're trying to support other people in this community. We live here, we work here, we're raising our families here. Who's your favorite small business, right? If you and your wife are going out to eat tonight, where are you going?
Right.
And that's all part of
Toscano. We love Cafe Toscano.
Yeah. So I've got that information during the onboarding. And now, like I say, 2 years later, I do the customer cloning process. You say, yeah, call my son, he's down in Long Island. And I say, thank you so much. You know what, even if your son doesn't do business with me, just for the opportunity to have a conversation with him, I'm going to grab you and your wife a gift certificate to Cafe Toscano, or whatever you said.
And you tell me that, or that's a surprise that comes to me? We
tell you. And here's why. Because what a lot of our customers will do is they'll say, well, you know what? Call so-and-so. They'll give us another one. Yeah, right. Immediately. Right. And because we tell them, we'll give you as many gift certificates, as you give us referrals. But people don't do it typically for the gift.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't. Right. If I refer someone to you, it's because the KLT. I know, like, and trust you. Right. And I want the person I'm referring
KLT, know,
like, and trust.
and trust. And this is all outlined in your book, Referrals Done Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
we've
just want to make sure.
yeah.
And we're gonna have that we can get our listeners could get it scottgrates.com, Scott Grates.com. Your books, all the information. We'll also have that in the show notes. Sorry, go ahead. The
Oh, no, you're good, man.
KLT.
Yeah, so it's let me shift gears here too. So what's outlined in the book is really this five-headed monster. I looked at my community and I said, if I can have meaningful relationships with business owners that are in parallel markets, so people that are already doing business with the people I want to do business with. So as an insurance person, my parallel markets are mortgage brokers, leasing managers, car dealers, attorneys, right? They're dealing with people all day long who need insurance. And so what I said is I can sit here and I can fish and try to catch a fish, right? All day long, the same cold traditional way everyone else is doing it, right? And it becomes white noise. And I'm in a super competitive business. Talk about throwing a stone and hitting three competitors. Like insurance is the worst, right? So super competitive. So, or what I can do is I can go up and down the shoreline and start building relationships with other fishermen. And, they might need two or three fish, but maybe they catch five or six and they throw one my way. And so I said, instead of trying to get to 10,000 prospects the cold traditional way, very expensive too,
Yeah,
I want to build meaningful relationships with a couple hundred people who are already doing business with my potential customers. And through
right.
the years, it will lead to hundreds of introductions from them. And I get to my 10,000 that way. So small business owners. The second one is schools, right? Future generation marketing. This is playing the long game. I'm always doing financial literacy workshops, teen driver safety, career days. I offer kids the opportunity to help them build their resume, do mock interviews, job shadowing, job internships. I've hired 4 employees directly out of high school. 3 of them are fantastic, still with me. I have at this point probably over 1,000 customers that were once, I've been doing this 16 years, that were once in those seats. You want to get to the heart of a parent, serve their child,
Right.
right? Show interest in their child, pour into them. And the social media piece is huge, right?
Would you ever teach them things I would think of is educating them on drinking and driving, educating them on like stuff that obviously we lose sleep at night over our kids. Anything like, wow, that insurance agent, really cares. I don't know, just
Yeah.
thinking
Oh, yeah.
about.
We do driver safety workshops, but probably my favorite are the career days because who the hell wants to learn about insurance, right? It's important. Yes, I get
Right,
it.
right, right, right,
No one cares. It's not sexy. They want to talk to the fireman.
right.
So what I do is I tell them, look, insurance agent is what I do, but that's not who I am, right? What I'm here to do today is talk to you about time travel because I've traveled back in time, right? I've lived the 30 years you're about to live, and I've learned a few things that you need to know going forward. And I start teaching them things that they can't learn in a textbook, things that are counterintuitive to what they believe. Like, failure in high school, it's like, ooh, that's the worst F word ever. You don't want to fail. But you and I both know in the business world, the most successful people are the biggest failures you'll ever meet, right? They just the failure, the learning, the feedback, the resilience, and they move on. So things like that, So I pour into the schools. I connect with service groups, nonprofits, and just organizations in the area that may
The
not do
Friday night football games, just anything in the
local
community.
Kiwanis, Rotary, Habitat for Humanity. I establish relationships with just all the local nonprofits
Yeah,
and all, but a lot. And those people most don't do business with me, but what they are is they're all super connectors,
right.
right? There's no like bums, to give donating time and money to nonprofits in the community. These are all well-connected people, and when you pour value into them, they typically connect you to others. The last one is I talked about social already, but in the podcast and newsletters and things we do. But the last one is your star customers. We look at our customers as an extension of our sales team. Because if I call you, John, as an insurance agent, again, that BS meter is going to be up. You might like me, but you're like, Scott's going to try to sell me something. But
Right.
if a buddy of yours talks about how he was wowed at our agency and how we do insurance like no one else does, and the customer experience and the unique, thoughtful gifts and contacts, and you're like, I I got to call him, right? So your buddy is a way better
Right.
salesperson than I'm ever going to be. Uh, so we kind of, I don't want to say trained, but subconsciously train our best customers to be a voice for us out in the community.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Have you ever heard of our earned sales growth?
I've not.
So Fred Reichel, who's the father of the Net Promoter Score, introduced it, and then I've tweaked it, just called earned sales.
Mhm.
And so when I work with my businesses, and when I work with our consulting clients, it is the number one KPI if their business model will allow them to track it, which most do. A Chick-fil-A or a Starbucks where you don't know who the customer is and you don't know where they came from, you can't do that. But your
Right.
business, consulting, accounting, hairdressers, if your wife comes in for the first time and the company tracks, hey, how did you hear of us? Right? This is how you do it. So, and I just wrote a blog on this, which says, is stop surveying your customers and track this. And I mean that kind of tongue in cheek,
Yeah.
that this is even more important than what your survey says. Because if I say, Scott, how likely are you to do business with us again? And you can give a 10, but a year later, or no, I'm sorry, how likely are you to refer? A year later, you haven't referred anyone. So I don't care about your intent, what you're saying you'll do. I care about if you took action. So here's how earned sales go. Last week, last month, last quarter, whatever period we're going. Let's say we bring in $1 million. Okay. Of that, what's bought and what's earned? Bought is, you heard about me because you saw my billboard, you Googled, whatever vehicle we're using today's to capture things. So that's advertised. I bought, that's bought. And we all need to do it. Earned, you came from one or two places. You're a repeat customer. You've done business with us before, or like you said, a buddy of yours demanded to you, you have to do business with that, John or the hair salon, or whatever. And so now the key is, as you know, is you get that as a baseline as a company. All right, we're at 32% earned sales for last month, last quarter, last year. And, earned is all profit. Earned, I don't have to put as many billboards or SEO. The other thing, as you know, is if I called you up and I live in your area and I say, hey, I'm exploring about, insurance, you're going to say, how'd you hear of us? I Googled you. Well, you also know that I got 5 other leads. So you're not the only person I'm calling. And I'm
Sure.
looking for the best deal. And that, the sales cycle is going to be longer and harder. And you're going to have to stand in your head, which probably means you're going to have to give me the best rate, which you don't want to do. And it's not good for anyone. Versus, my best friend Jim has been doing business with you for 5 years, and I just have to shut him up because he tells me I have to hire you. Well, I'm not calling anyone else.
Right.
So it's not, so not only the earned sales is so important, but we also, in our clients, is we pin it not only as a company, but each agent or each consultant or each hairdresser. So now we could say, Scott, the agent, your earned sales was is at 52%. The average for the company is 38. You're crushing it. And then, but we want people losing sleep at night. And again, it goes back to, where does that come from? You're providing an exceptional experience that repeats and that they're talking about you. So like I want all my hairdressers, all my consultants losing sleep at night over their earned sales ratio, and it's a real, and it's real, all what you're talking about, but it's putting a KPI behind it.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's I tell salespeople all the time, if you can develop one skill, make it this, the ability to self-generate leads. You will never go hungry. You'll never be out of work. It doesn't matter what you want to sell or who you want to sell for. If
Yeah.
you can generate your own leads through your network, through your referral, and it's funny because earlier when we were talking about that onboarding process, the question is very specifically and intentionally, John, have I earned the right to be introduced to somebody that you know? And we're not entitled to anything. We have to earn it, right? So we are very specific about the language there. But No doubt. We burned the boats about 12 years ago as an agency where I said we're gonna conquer this island based on referrals and self-generated leads, or we're gonna die trying. But what
Yeah.
we're not gonna do is retreat to cold, to traditional marketing and having to buy it. And the team responded. So, it's the John Gordon shark and the goldfish, right? The shark goes out and hunts for food. The goldfish, if someone doesn't think to feed it, it's going to die.
Right.
And so bought, you're reactive. You're a goldfish, and the shark is out there earning it.
And bought, you better be the best deal, right? And
Well,
bought is
right. Yeah,
also
it's gonna
cold
become a
calling.
commodity. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Scott, you got an upcoming TEDx talk.
Actually, it happened.
Oh, it
It happened.
happened. It
Yeah, yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Oh,
So
good.
that's
All
it's
right. So it's called Silence the Voice. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, this really stemmed from imposter syndrome. Something that we all deal with at some level. And who am I to talk to John DiJulius today? Who am I to share with his audience on this podcast? What do I know? And so when I talk to students specifically, if I could do one thing, it's to help them understand that we all have that voice. That's just standard equipment in the back of our head that we're all born with, and it's never going to go away. And it's telling us things like we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not strong enough, we're not confident enough, we're not ready, we're not worthy. And so really your ability to silence that voice, right? Just shh, I got this, right? And so it was funny because I was approached by a TEDx coordinator to do a talk, and my initial response was, "Oh, no, no, not me, right? Like you must be thinking of someone else. Like I'm not worthy of a TED stage." And
He didn't think he thought he dropped the R in your last name, right?
yeah, I'm not Bill's, right? So my initial response was no. Wait, and I sat on that email for a few days before I finally responded, and then it finally hit me like this is what I need to talk about. Right? I just did the thing that I'm trying to help people avoid. I listened to that voice, and
So how do
so
we silence that voice? What are
yeah.
some
So
techniques?
I talk on during the talk about just using the acronym APPS, right? And it's acknowledge it, understand what's going on. That I hear it. P is prove it wrong, right? Start looking at some things in your past where it's like, yeah, I have done this, or someone has learned from me, or this was a success in the past. And then the S is to silence it, right? And then followed up with I got this. I can do this. And really it's just this process of continuously reminding yourself that you are worthy, right? You can do it.
So let's
And
let's bring it back because my son in Long Island, he's actually has a internship for insurance this summer, and he has to. It's all cold calling, right? And so let's just say, because I could see this playing out, that through a friend of a friend, he ends up getting you do someone a favor and you're going to give him a 5 minute meeting in your office, right? But on his way there, he's going to be thinking, this guy's going to see right through me. This guy's a seasoned pro. Who the hell am I to sit down in front of this guy as a 22-year-old and tell him he should buy anything from me? So what should my son Bo be? What's apps
yeah,
in that
yeah.
world?
So yeah, in that scenario, I would start at the beginning, right? Acknowledge the fact that you're hearing this voice, right?
Yeah,
Understand that you're not alone. That anyone who ever did anything of significance questioned themselves, right? So it's not abnormal behavior, and
yeah,
so that should calm them a little bit, and then just start looking to prove yourself wrong, or the voice wrong, right? So
yeah,
did he get the internship? Yes. Right. So he must have interviewed for that. So
right,
that person saw something in him.
yeah,
Did I say yes to the meeting? Yeah. So I saw something
yeah.
in him. Has a 22-year-old ever done anything of significance before? Like, yeah, like we could start looking around, what, and what have you done in the past? And maybe if you're brand new, that start looking at your peer group, people that are your age and similar status that have done things to prove that this is possible. And then just that shh, and I tell people to do that, right? The actually shh, and what it does is it helps them breathe. Most of the time when we get fear, you do a lot of speaking, right? And you get that anxiety that which can be good, but it can also be overwhelming. what do? You do breathing exercise, combat breathing. Before Navy SEALs go into the deadliest missions in the world, they're doing combat breathing where they breathe in their nose for 3 seconds, they hold for 3 seconds, they exhale for 3 seconds, and that just lowers their heart rate and calms them. No different here. Like, shh, right? I
Yeah,
got this.
yeah.
It's like, calm down, dude. I got this. And it's not part of this talk, but another thing that I remind myself of when I go through this is who are the people that love you the most on this planet? For me, it's my wife, it's my 3 kids sometimes.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
my
I
mom.
always say the benefit of having 3 kids is the likelihood that one of them doesn't hate you,
Yeah,
is good,
numbers.
right? If I
Law,
only
law of
had
large numbers.
two, yeah, but usually one of them, and that's probably because we haven't talked in a while, but not all 3 hate me.
But yeah, to finish that thought, I mean, it's I think about them and I say if I go out on this stage and before I even say a word, I trip and fall and everyone laughs at me. If I get up and I vomit, if I piss myself on stage,
Yeah,
right? I mean, think of
yeah,
the craziest things ever, right?
right.
Like I run off and I'm in tears and it's the most horrific thing ever, and I go home. Is my mom still gonna love me?
Yeah,
Is my wife still gonna love me? Are my kids still gonna call me dad and say, "Hey, we're proud of you, even though you messed that up"? Yeah, they are. So really, who the hell cares?
right.
Uh, so in the big scheme of things, I had mentioned earlier, we're all kind of just a speck of dust, and when you take yourself out of the moment and realize just really how insignificant it is, that
Yeah.
voice gets quieter.
Well, I think so much of what you're talking about applies even in that scenario because, um, even being a transparent and saying, Mr. Grates, I'm really nervous, right? Because you're gonna love that. You're gonna be flattered, but you're also gonna remember being 22 and being
Yeah.
in that situation, and you're gonna immediately go to help him. Bo, don't be nervous. And Bo, you're talking fast. Take your time. I got no place to be. Versus originally, you're like, shit, this is the last thing I have time for. But you remember being 22
Sure.
and telling them, hey, I've been there, Bo. Relax. We're just 2 guys having a conversation. I hear you're a great kid, blah blah blah, and back to make it about Mr. Greats and get him talking about himself is gonna really put it at ease.
So it's funny, we kind of came full circle in this conversation, you and I, because that is that 22-year-old kid, right, who we say is digitally distracted, and yeah, they're more scared than ever. I'm sure you've seen it in your organizations. The interviews from these kids are horrific, right?
Yeah,
It's a lot of times it's the first time that they're
right.
having conversations off the phone, but ultimately, yeah, we've all been there, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah,
people, regardless of what you see on social media or the news, like the world's full of really good people who want to help you. And
yeah, totally.
honesty and transparency. And to your point, the best icebreaker is, you know what, John, like this is really awkward and uncomfortable for me. Apologies for me, sweating, freaking out, shaking a little
Yeah.
bit. And the first thing you're going to do as a good human is say, Scott, chill, man.
Yeah, you're gonna do just fine. You're gonna do because most people, everyone's been there. Very few people are not there. And like it goes to another example I give. If I come into a store and this receptionist is struggling to ring me out, or she's this, I'm a little annoyed. I'm like, Jesus, how did I get the dumbest, blah blah blah. Now, something that changes the whole thing is it says Suzanne in training. I'm like, oh, no, no, take your time. I'm okay. I think it's that button right there. Like I'm trying to help her because I know it sucks to be new. And so
Yeah.
when you're giving people permission to, if I know she's in training, I am so much more empathetic versus I just think she's some bubbling idiot.
Listen, the greatest training I can give anyone out there is the best thing you could say when you don't know something is, you know what, John, that's a great question. I'm not positive. Let me find out for you.
Right. As long as you say, let me find out, I'll
That's
find
it.
out.
And so 20 plus
Yeah.
years in business, my team will tell you 90% of the questions I get, I'm like, that's a great question. Let me find out for you. And I go
Yeah.
ask
Yeah. Yeah.
employees,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. All right,
So
this is awesome. We're talking to Scott Grates, who's mastered the art of leveraging relationships to amplify business success. He is the author of Referrals Done Right and the TEDx speaker on silence that voice. You can find more about Scott at scottgrates.com. And we will also provide his how to follow him on LinkedIn, which is the same place, Scott Grates on LinkedIn. Scott, anything you want to leave our audience with that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
Just just doubling down on the fact that it's worth the time. Play the long game. This microwave society, we want everything immediately. We want things yesterday. But anything worth having is worth working for. This process is not easy, but once you break through, once you hit that tipping point, we have so many referrals coming to us now that we couldn't stop them if we wanted to. It takes time. It's not easy. Consistency is king. But you got to start and you got to stick with it.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. It was such a pleasure. Love your energy. Love how you built your business. And I love that you're sharing it with others to do.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
We'll be right back after this, Revolutionaries.
We love to read your reviews. Please be sure to share your comments and let us know what you're enjoying most on the podcast. And to hear more episodes, be sure to subscribe now on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening and being part of the customer service revolution.